Yes, that is cream cheese.
This is what you get if you order sushi in America. But this is what you get if you order sushi in Japan.
Do you have like a dragon roll or a rainbow roll?
Oh, no.
So are we doing it all wrong?
They glamorize like putting mayonnaise.
I'm eating sushi in America, then going to Japan to understand just how they eat sushi there.
The Japanese traditional sushi is more about the authenticity and just like the simple texture.
Is everything getting lost in translation?
Sushi. It's very different from Japan and US.
Is it sushi? I'm not sure.
Did America modify sushi to maximize profits and bring sushi to the masses? Or is this because the US government has much stricter laws related to the handling of raw fish?
This is it. This is what a standard sushi lunch will look like here in Japan.
Sushi is our traditional culture.
I'm going to a 5 a.m. fish market in Tokyo, meeting sushi chefs, and even taking classes to try to learn. Did America innovate sushi or totally ruin it? Walk into many grocery stores across the US and you will see this. Avocado rolls, Philadelphia rolls, even LA rolls. And head to a sushi restaurant, order from a menu, you might even see more offerings. Hawaiian roll, Lady in Red roll, even Superman burrito roll. But I order one of the most common here in America.
Philadelphia roll. And yes, that is cream cheese.
It sort of comes apart as I'm eating it. And I order this. This one seems to kind of have some bones in it. This one roll cost me $16. But hey, I'm not complaining. This is actually a very standard sushi restaurant experience here in the US. The menu at this restaurant is primarily sushi rolls, and they also offer a lot of other things like rice and noodle-based dishes. But what happens if I head to Japan?
Outside this restaurant in Tokyo, here is what they advertise for lunch specials, for meals. All you see is fish, salmon, tuna, fish eggs. And then when it comes to the other types of sushi, so obviously that's a lot of sashimi on rice, here you have nigiri. Everything you see here is so simple. Fish, some rice, and maybe some seaweed, and that's about it. It's common that they'll add a little bit of wasabi in each piece. It's not like wasabi is put on the side, but they do give you an option. Do you want it or do you want it without? That's pretty much the standard sushi of Japan. It's just, this is what it looks like. It's nigiri, it's a piece of fish and rice. There's a few different types of sushi. Nigiri is the most basic one, fish and rice. Rolls are very common in the US. They're less common, but they're still prevalent here in Japan. So when you go to the rolls, you see they're all very, very simple. It's literally like one thing, rice wrapped in seaweed. Tuna roll, salmon roll, nothing is really added to them. It's hard to explain how fresh that is, but also not just the fish, the rice. There's something about the rice that just tastes incredible. Like, you're not really familiar with rice tasting like that. I did ask for California roll. He showed it to me on this menu, but it's not popular enough where I actually even see it here on the tablet.
Hold on. To understand sushi's popularity in America, you have to look at the California roll. This was adapted to suit the American taste preferences decades ago because raw fish sounded gross to Americans. So enter the California roll. It would consist of avocado, cucumber, and crab meat wrapped in seaweed and rice. Crab meat to avoid raw fish. It's the California roll that accelerated the growth of sushi in the US, but more on that later.
And who knows, maybe they added California roll for the tourists. I need to meet with the Japanese chef and figure out what's going on here.
When I make sushi, I use this sushi board and let's make sushi with customers.
I meet this sushi chef who is moving to the US with a dream of educating people to make authentic sushi.
You can make sushi, you have confidence. Sushi is the simple cooking, simple style.
He wants people to think of making sushi as simple as, well, using an iPhone.
Every people can make sushi every day by roll style. It's very easy. And eat sushi and they become healthy.
Later he shows me his knives he uses to make sushi.
It's very traditional Japanese term. Call this sword sushi sword. My master of sushi used this model.
So why is sushi so much different in Japan than the US? Here are 3 main reasons. Number 1, and this is kind of ironic, is that sushi in Japan is much more simple than America. So clearly America's modifications are not a result of laziness.
In Japan, sushi is very simple. Rice and a piece of fish or piece of egg, and that's all. In the US, it's like rolling.
The first reason has to be profits. In the US, capitalism drives everything.
This is expensive, right? I mean, if you wanted to provide this much fish, this much raw salmon, For a lunch meal in the US, it would cost a lot of money. It's much easier to fill it with rice and make it cheaper. Look at this piece. It's pretty small, but the fish is massive.
The majority of, well, default sushi in Japan happens to be nigiri. It's a small mound of rice with a sizable piece of fish. It's simple. While in the US, rolls tend to be more popular, which allow for more innovation, creativity, and, well, fillings inside. But even the rolls here look different.
This is what a roll will look like in Japan. Notice, very simple, very small, and even the seaweed here is fresh.
So America took sushi and invented the California roll, usually imitation crab, avocado, and cucumber. But what happens when a restaurant in Japan takes that same thing but makes its own version?
The California roll tastes so different. In a weird way, it tastes way better because it's super fresh. The ingredients, cucumber, the rice, there's a little shrimp on the top, but it's nowhere near as good as actually the other sushi that I've been eating here.
People in Japan have a mixed opinion on America's innovations.
I think it's a good way to display food and bring that appetite to people. It's also mostly like photogenic too, right? I don't mind it.
The second reason sushi is so different in America comes down to government regulations. See, in Japan, sushi revolves around using the most fresh, high-quality fish. People wake up early to bid on the best one. Fish used for sushi is often caught locally and brought to restaurants the same day, and that allows for an insane level of freshness. That freshness is highly valued in Japanese cuisine. While Japan has strict guidelines for fishing, processing, and transportation, there is no legal requirement in Japan to freeze fish before serving it as sushi, but that's exactly the case in the United States. See, the US Food and Drug Administration established regulations saying you must freeze fish that is intended for raw consumption. By freezing fish, you can effectively destroy any potential parasites. This requirement in the US ensures food safety standards are met and allows sushi restaurants to serve raw fish with confidence. But of course, it does affect the texture and taste of the fish. I mean, frozen fish can never taste as good as something that came from the ocean that morning. And the third reason that sushi differs so much might just come down to, well, cultural preferences. Traditional sushi focuses on natural flavors of the fish, using minimal ingredients to complement the taste, like soy sauce, wasabi, and vinegar rice. But sushi in the United States has evolved to cater to other tastes, and that often includes cream cheese, mayonnaise, and the art of, well, deep frying the fish and rice. But to understand how serious they take this fresh fish, I wake up at 5 a.m. and head to a tuna auction.
Uber in Japan is so expensive and the train system is so amazing, but at 4 a.m. I'm treating myself. I love these milk teas, and what's really crazy is that even though it's in a vending machine and even though it's plastic, it's served hot. It's 5:30 in the morning, which means the auction is starting. They chop off the end of the fish and then they put it on top of the fish so that buyers can actually see the quality and the freshness. To assess the quality of the tuna, I'm seeing all types of things. Flashlights, close-up inspections, and a lot of buyers have clipboards, and it's really interesting. You have to wonder, like, how do you become an expert in knowing what to look for? Is it the smell? Is it the color? I mean, there's a lot that's going into this right now. So you have the auctioneer here, and then they're using hand gestures to actually bid on each tuna. Then the second they put the yellow slip, that restaurant, that tuna has been purchased, it's been claimed, and then it's off to the restaurant. All right, I'm definitely coming here for breakfast. These are the restaurants that get fresh fish from overnight and then serve it immediately. I mean, you already have a restaurant that's open. So I asked her what just came from this morning. She says everything, but she said especially the tuna and the salmon and the shrimp. She talked a lot about the shrimp. It's really cool to see them make it right in front of you. So let's dive in at 6 a.m. It's insane, just like the color and the freshness. It's also insane that I'm having sushi at 6 a.m. Taste is incredible, and it's really interesting because it's kind of like room temperature. Usually you eat fish and it feels cold, but this is actually room temperature. The rice is not warm, but again, room temperature.
So did sushi in America evolve over time, or did it enter America already modified? Well, let's head back to the 1960s when Americans began venturing abroad. Sushi faced a challenge as Americans were not used to raw fish, let alone seaweed-wrapped rice rolls. Japan experienced a surge of economic growth and cultural influence. Businesses, diplomats, and students were moving to cities like LA and San Francisco. And a man named Noritoshi Kanai opened the first sushi restaurant in 1966. By the 1980s, sushi became trendy, slowly becoming mainstream. All over the country, sushi restaurants were popping up. And to cater to new preferences and mass-produce sushi, especially in a place where fresh fish was not readily available like Japan, well, anything was bound to happen. And that might explain why you now have so many creative roles. But now that I understand what authentic sushi is, I'm curious, what does it take to actually make it?
So in today's class, I'm gonna learn nigiri and maki and inari. So far, I see a lot of just raw ingredients and it seems simple enough, but let's see if it's actually simple.
I meet Kiko, a Japanese sushi chef who hosts me for a cooking class.
She just told me how she prepares the Japanese rice. You wash 2 cups of rice about half an hour before cooking, and you add sake into the rice. Oh wow.
お魚を使ったものがとても多いので、日本の独特の美味しいお寿司はぜひアメリカの方にも食べていただきたいなと思います。
So at the base of a nigiri is literally this, the rice, and then this, the fish, the shrimp and the fish. Few minutes and I think I'm somewhat getting the hang of it. Wasabi. I'm gonna take some rice. And again, she told me just a little rice to give it a little squeeze into a ball. So now that my rice is sticking to itself, I'm gonna stick it on the fish. And I'm going to do with my 2 fingers, tight. I thought she was gonna say it's time to eat, and she actually said, no, please arrange them neatly. So this isn't just about eating, it's about actually experiencing. I mean, food is art really in this case. So it's all about, you know, presentation as well with any cuisine.
The shocking thing for me was that this is literally so simple. Rice, wasabi, fish, that's it. If I'm being honest, after a month in Japan, it's now become quite hard for me to eat sushi back in America. Japan ruined it for me, but maybe it's not fair for me to say it's been ruined.
I also respect the kind of localization of, mixing the, the Western or other local essence into the authentic one, so which is kind of chemistry. I recommend maybe everyone to explore the, each local sushi.
I was not expecting that. Dragon roll, rainbow roll, completely had no idea what I was saying. But California roll he actually has. It's not very common, but they added it to the menu. Look at that. Japan influencing California, California bringing it back. Wow.
Many Japanese don't bash the American version of sushi the way Italians might bash pineapple on pizza or Mexicans might bash Taco Bell. But maybe they're also just being polite.
American people like having home party, and then Japanese people, I like home party. So I want sushi like iPhone. It's my dream. It's our team dream.
I came across a lot of kind of like sushi restaurants. I prefer the Japanese authentic one.